I'm going to be doing a class on Kashmir Shaivism and astrology. Now, you might say, I don't know what Kashmir Shaivism is. It's simply the philosophy of non-duality and of spiritual existence and how spirit descends into form. And it's very methodical and worked out and extremely practical in the ways that Indian metaphysics are. It revolves around what are called 36 tattvas, and they exist in 3 different stages. There are pure tattvas, which have to do with things not of this earth whatsoever, the non-dual state where there's just oneness, the same oneness that we all are. In fact, before any individuality, there's just a state of equilibrium. That's the pure state. Then we have the pure impure state, which is before we incarnate, our karma interacts with this deeper true self, who we are. Beyond our karma, that deep state, our karma and our sense of individuality from past lives and whatnot interact through the agency of Maya and illusion. And then this creates the physical form that we incarnate as. So just understanding this, the way that the universe works based on this approach is amazing. Now, I'm not just going to teach that, I'm going to talk about it in reference to astrology and to all of the astrological factors. Like, for instance, how does Maya interact with Jupiter? What's the Maya of Jupiter? And how does something like pure self get corrupted by Maya and become false self? You see, because we have this, you know, for instance, this Chit Shakti becomes the ego. Chit Shakti, which is pure self, interacts with Maya and creates false self. Ananda Shakti, which is pure bliss, the pure bliss state, where you're pure bliss. You need nothing external to be blissful. Bliss is your nature. So, but bliss interacts with Maya and creates happiness, pleasure, desire. So, see, these things are related to Venus. So again, most who study Kashmir Shaivism and whatnot, they study these things, but they don't study them with a structure called astrology. You see, this is the greatness of astrology, and this is why I teach cross-discipline like this. Those who study Kashmir Shaivism, they just learn these principles on their own. But those of us who know astrology, we link these principles up with the planets, signs, houses, lunar nodes, all of these astrological, cosmological phenomena. And what this is going to do is bring a much deeper metaphysical awareness, not just to your life, but to your astrological understanding. Now, those of you who are in my certification courses or who have gotten them before, so much of the course, especially the first part of the course, when we really open up that new worldview, that new metaphysical awareness, a lot of it revolves around these kinds of questions. Well, how am I a non-dual person and yet here I am as an individual? Well, me as a non-dual state wants this. You know, it's just so confusing to our mind because it's confusing. It's confusing when we don't just have a structure. So the structure of Shaivism, of Kashmir Shaivism, and Advaita Vedanta, which is not the same, but it's very similar. I'm going to be talking about non-dual Advaita Vedanta and non-dual Kashmir Shaivism, and then also how it filters down into duality and expressed as Sankhya philosophy. All of this is the framework and structure of our life. I didn't even mention that all of this also relates to the astrological text, not just the astrological factors like planets, you know, how the Maya of Jupiter becomes this, or the Ananda Shakti with Maya is the Venus becoming this, but also the Vedic astrological texts themselves, especially Brihat Parashara Sastra, is nothing but a sort of compendium on the order of beings and how beings have descended into form and what loka they come from, and all of this whole hierarchy of beings that is reinforced or reaffirmed or brought forth in the astrological texts themselves. So all of this coming together into an astrological, cosmological structure will be brought forth. So it's going to be 4 like hour and a half, hour 15 long classes. They're just going to be recordings. I'm just going to teach the recordings and you'll get the recordings. And then we'll also have a couple Zoom conference calls for those who are in the course. I'll do 2 of them, then we'll have a Zoom call, then I'll do 2 more, then we'll have a final Zoom call. So you can ask questions and they'll be uploaded at a members area that you can join. It's all very simple and turnkey. So it's not that expensive because I actually just want a lot of people to understand this. So go ahead and register for it. You're going to really get a lot out of this as a way to really bring together these higher systems of you know, duality, non-duality, Sankhya philosophy, yoga, Jyotish, you know, Shaivism. It's really beautiful stuff, particularly powerful for what happens before the soul even incarnates and how astrology connects us to that. So look forward to having you as part of that, and go ahead and register for it. Now, in addition to those classes, you also get a couple bonuses, and these are fantastic. Particularly, you're going to get the recordings to the first module of my certification course, which with all of these Vedic structures and Vedic frameworks. You're just going to get access to those recordings. In fact, right now, as soon as you pay, you'll get access to it. And this value is really high. You know, this is about $100 value easily, if not $150 value or whatever. It's 4 classes, like 4 hour-long classes where I talk about the history of Indian culture and the history of the Indian texts and how these things break out into the 3 gunas and 5 elements and the karma and the chakras and all of this stuff. This is the first module in my current certification course. You just get the recordings of that when you register. So again, extremely valuable bonus for you. And as I said, that bonus is available right away. So as soon as you register, you will get those. It's about 6 hours of recordings with all the manuals and the downloads as well. And that will prepare you for the Kashmir Shaivism and Vedic Astrology course, which is going to be starting in the next few weeks. The classes will be in a members area. You just log in and the recordings are there. And then you watch them as much as you want. There will also be a recording to download and also a manual. So there's no appointment to miss. What day is it? What day? I got a plan on the calendar. I'd like to do it, but I just don't have the time. You have the time because there's no time. And of course, the Zoom calls, the Zoom conference calls will be scheduled at a certain time that you can show up for. If not, if you can't show up for the call, you can ask a question and I'll try to answer the question on the call. And you know, again, go ahead and register for this. You'll really like it. It's going to help your studies immensely.